Hey everybody, it's so good to read the comments. I just missed you guys. I can't believe how much I missed you guys. Anyway, I just think it's really great. Anyway, I'm just going to keep pumping them out because I'm still not monetized. Whatever. Still waiting for my license to get here. It's just been weird. But oh well. I'm alive. So, I thought we'd go back and look at November 13th, 2022. And the reason being is because there were so many things that happened on this day that I think get a little bit overlooked because of what happened. You know, how tragic it was and how it just overtook everything, which it should, you know, take priority. Although, with that said, something had to have led up to this. So, what was it? So, you've got Dylan, allegedly, nobody even knows this for sure, just, you know, whatever, I don't even know where it came from, to tell you the truth, the beginning of it, but that Dylan invited, I'm probably going to yawn, but that's just, I'm a little tired tonight, so, actually I'm a lot tired. I haven't slept very good in the last few days, but I've slept a little bit, which is better than nothing. So back to Dylan. So it was said that Dylan invited Kelley to this event as a +1. Well, I find that very weird. And the reason being is because they're from different sororities. And that's just weird. That's just not normal. And another thing I find very strange is because of the actual event that it was. Now, when I looked this event up, there was a girl, a sorority girl, that came in and had made a comment that this particular event, this dance or party or whatever it was a special one. And it was one of the ones that you were on your best behavior. That no one got drunk. If they did pre-party, they would have like maybe a drink at the house, but that was it. They definitely weren't buzzed. They were on their, you know, dressed to the nines, alert, you know, just, they were coherent. They were there, you know, present. And that everybody was to attend, which I thought was interesting as well. So maybe that could be why there's a +1 available. I don't know. I highly doubt it, though. I highly doubt that. But the way this girl was telling it, she said that you just made sure that, I mean, you could party afterwards, she says, but it's kind of made it sound like it was almost like the stepping stone to who you are and what they're going to do for you, kind of, in a way. So you better be on your best behavior and you better shine and yeah, all that good stuff, right? So you've got that particular one. Now that happened, that was on Friday. From what I understand, that was Friday. And then you got Saturday was the football game and was also the Betty's Ball, which Ethan took his sister Maisie and then Hunter took another girl. Now, from what I understand, that particular girl is one of the girls, Marcia, or I think it was Marcia or Martha, one of the ones on the one of the talk show, one of the shows with that really weird looking skinny faced white haired guy that lied about everything, where she cried and said something about 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. That whole interview was so strange. It didn't, nothing about that whole entire show, like atrocity is what it was. even rang true to anything. I mean, so unbelievable. So unbelievable. And, you know, if you think about this whole thing, I mean, really think about it. How the hell are they getting away, or have they always done this? Maybe I'm just now opening my eyes to how bad it is. But have they always just, you know, gone for their own agenda and thrown people under the bus like this? I mean, how the hell do they go on national news throughout the world and they say this guy did what he did? And they're not even, I mean, it's not even speculation. It's not, I mean, in my opinion, none of that crap. This guy is a blah, 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 and he did this and that. And I'm like, I mean, can you imagine what that would feel like? Knowing you were innocent. Just let's say that he's totally innocent. I mean, at this point, I've always thought he's innocent to a certain extent. Like, I don't think he did this. He may have known about it. There might be some interaction somewhere along the line, but nothing that he thought, nothing like this would ever, like nothing like this. And it was just whoever they are, and there's several of them, I believe, in my opinion. More than several, actually. I mean, this feels like a whole town, man. It's just crazy. But, that they had their own plan. And you think about that sworn to secrecy type, stuff. You know, you keep it mum's a word. You don't talk about it. You talk about it, and what happens to you? Well, what does happen to them? I think what happens to them is something that happened to 4 people in that house. Whether it be by their own hands, because of whatever paranoia sets in, or extreme, depression, or just stress alone of knowing about something like this and not being able to say anything because you are sworn to secrecy. That is the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Now that could drive anybody mad, if you ask me. I know it would drive me mad. I'd never be in a situation like that, I don't think. I mean, not that I know of. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't. But, you never know about certain things. But that I know in my own psyche, that would tear me up. Tear me the hell up. So you think about these gentle souls, some of them gentle souls. I believe Caden Young was a very gentle soul. He could have a look about him that didn't seem like gentle. Like, he almost sometimes had a kind of a harsh, dark look to him. But I think that's because he was a gentle soul and he felt things. He was an empath, and he took on too many things. He took on other people's darkness, not because he wanted to. He could feel it, is what I'm saying. He could feel it. Not that he wanted it or it was like that, but he could feel it, and it made him possibly depressed, I would think. But he wrote about, with his journalist background, unlike Katie Bonneau, he wrote a really good piece on her, and I'm going to do a video on her as well. She was from the University of Idaho, and the university threw her under the bus. They didn't give a crap about her. In fact, they covered it up. All of it. They covered it up. They let it happen. They knew what was happening, and they let it happen. And they knew it, you guys. They knew it, and they let it happen. Well, Caden wrote about that. And every year at the university, they have a midnight, like a walk, a midnight I don't remember exactly what it's called. But it's at night, and it's in honor of Katie. Katie was murdered by a professor there, an instructor at the school, at the university. And it could have been stopped. I mean, it didn't have to happen. But the university didn't want anybody to know about it. So they didn't do anything about it. They covered it up. Instead of putting on your big boy panties and your big girl britches and all that good stuff and doing what a normal human being would do, or someone in that type of a, you know, they are the adults. These people are the adults. They're the ones that have the power to take care of things like this. They're the ones that should be taking care of things like this. That their job is to take care of things like this and stop things like this from happening and protect the students, protect the people in that and around that and going to that and blah, 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 that university. But instead, they're protecting their fucking reputation. Knowing full well what's going to happen, because it's happened time and time and time again. Because they haven't put on their big boy britches and their big girl panties and done their jobs. Whoever is the monster, I'm going to say that is plural, that run that university. There's some sick-ass people, man. Because this is all about money. This is about getting their grants. This is about getting their funding. This is about getting butts in those seats. Which means money for them. Which means they keep living the life that they love. Whether it puts another one 6 feet under or not. Doesn't matter. They need their fix. They need that paycheck. Now, granted, most of these are alumni. Tradition, all the way down family tradition, right? So, what that tells me is that they too have files on them. And by files, I mean, when they were going through their initiation and their hazings and all that crap they do, they too have to do something that will go down in, it'll go down in a file and it'll be saved. It'll be saved for when they say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's when that file is going to come out. And that file is going to make them do what that person over there is telling them to do. Because if they don't, that file is going to send them somewhere they don't want to spend the rest of their lives. Prison, possibly. Maybe they'll end up 6 feet under themselves. Because this is a brotherhood. Keep your mouth shut. You do what you're told. And you don't talk about it. And you recruit. Don't forget about that. You recruit more to do the dirty work. Because as they get older, as these alumni get older, come on, they don't have the balls to do this stuff anymore. You know, they have other people to do it for them. Actually, they probably do. Because, I mean, they probably just get grosser as they age. I mean, they just feel like they would look like snakes and reptiles and just slither around. But if you think about it, that's why they recruit. That's why that's so strong. That's why that rush. Oh, you got to get that, you know, just rush to, you know, the fraternities and get to this chapter and that chapter and blah, blah, blah. And that's because that keeps them from having to do that ugly stuff. But what the whole thing is, you know, what's interesting about that is that it doesn't matter how many you get. I mean, there'll always be someone to do something ugly for somebody else. I mean, that's just the way of the world, you know. It's always been like that. But with this system that they have, what those that haven't entered this brotherhood yet, what they really should think about is that they'll never be safe. I mean, they'll always have something hanging over their heads, because that's what this is about. This is about an iron fist. This is about ruling. This is about, you know, well, we're going to break you down and to build you back up to be what they want you to be. And that is their bitch. That's exactly what that is. And you may get a little pretty piece of gold upon becoming that bitch and doing what you're told and not talking about it and not discussing it, not even. But that gold that you're palming in your hand is going to get very dull over time, because that gold never was your gold. Ever. That gold doesn't belong to you guys. That belongs to the ones that are running it. It's probably not even real gold, to tell you the truth. The more people that handle that piece, the duller it gets, and the more worthless it gets. Because the more people that are out there to do the dirty, you're disposable. You're disposable. So why would anybody want to get themselves in a situation like that? That I don't understand. And why would you want to inflict pain upon another person? That I don't understand either. And laughing about it and joking about it and kicking them when they're down, and I mean, watching them as they suffer alcohol poisoning and brain loss and, you know, all sorts of stuff. I mean, some even die. Probably more than we think. I'm sure more than we think die. Because these are kids coming in. Some of them maybe some of them have never even had alcohol before. Maybe some of them have. But probably not in the amounts that they're force feeding them down through those freaking beer bongs. Down their open throats with no food in their stomach. No sleep. Overexerting, making them overexert by exercising, doing whatever. and then punching the crap out of them. Sometimes they'll take book bags. This is a gross one. This is so horrible. A couple guys, I mean, I've read about, have passed away from this one. A lot of the bands do this, the band members. They are on a bus, and they take their backpacks, and they fill them with stuff. Some of them fill them with stuff much worse than others fill them with. Heavy things, solid things, painful things. And as they're walking past, down the middle of that aisle, past everybody on that bus, they all get to hit them with that backpack. And if they can make it to the back of the bus, then they're in. One band member died from internal bleeding. Another one, I think, died brain injury. But they're all screaming and they're yelling and they're chanting and they're being ugly, awful animals. They're being actually worse than animals. They're being monsters. Now you think about what happened. What could have happened this particular night? And I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to even fathom. I mean, I've never even been in a fight. Seriously. So, to inflict pain upon somebody knowingly and knowing that you are going to do that, and that is actually your mission, that's what you're supposed to do, that is your job or whatever. No. I'd be so far gone, man. I'd be gone. But something happened that caused this angry mob, this ugly mob, this vicious mob. And this wasn't just guys, this was girls too, in my opinion. So you've got Kelley going to be leaving allegedly the next day. I don't know what Maddie was going to be doing, except for it was said that she was going to go visit Jake in Boise, I believe, over the Thanksgiving holidays and have Thanksgiving dinner and stuff with his family. But what I don't get is that this was going to be Thanksgiving break. So that, like, everybody's going to be, going home or whatever, with their families. So they didn't have to, why wasn't there a bunch of parties? And why were the girls that were in the same sorority as Kelley, why were they treating her like that at the grub truck? And they weren't even just doing that, but there's, at one point, you guys have to really listen for it. I'll see if I can find it and make a video about it. But Maddie had had done a TikTok. She liked her TikToks. And one of her TikToks, there was a certain thing she was saying in it. And it's weird because every time I hear it, it's a grub truck. I remember the TikTok, I remember the video, but I can't, pinpoint the name of it or what it was. But I know that Maddie did it. So when she's standing there, and it's when Molly and Grace and Peyton and Jake are all standing there, laughing and joking and doing their thing. And Maddie's up by the counter, of course, and Kaylee's still on her phone, but not as much as she was before. She's kind of like a little more paying attention, a little more aware. But you can hear these girls mocking Maddie's video, mocking what she said. And if you look over at Maddie, you can see her face and what her feelings are. Like, she can't hide it. She can't hide the fact that that is really tearing her up. And that's what it was meant to do. That's what those girls were trying to do. They're mean girls. With their mean little friend Jake, who likes to say the N-word all the time. That guy loves the N-word. And he's in the same fraternity as DJ. Which, if you guys know DJ, he's a black guy. Oh, he's kind of like, he's really light-skinned black. But nonetheless, you don't, you know, the N-word is not cool, period. I don't care what it's coming from. It's just not cool. But apparently Jake thinks it's pretty damn cool, because he says it a lot. He sings songs about it. All of his songs on his videos all have it in there. He thinks he's something else, I'll tell you. He's got lots of family that go to that university too. Actually, he's got a sister, Sydney, who just graduated with a major in criminology. Go figure. I do believe Kara, one of her breakdowns of what they're saying in that Linda Lane, I do believe Sydney was one of the names it was called. So, back to this day. You've got things going on. You've got that whole area that I talk about, that mountain view, that you know, the mobile station was, where the identity apartments were, right around the cop shop. You've got all sorts of weird stuff happening over there. Constantly. I mean, I'm talking constantly. Well, this day isn't any different at all. In fact, let me see here. Kitty's in my lap. Silly girl. What are you doing? So you've got, let me see. She's just rolling all around. Silly girl. So, not only is there the identity apartments right back there, which is where the cops went after Banfield, right? Well, if you listen to the very end of that, the guy says, hold on. The guy says, can I ask you a question? He says, how did you know, basically, how did you know we took this sign? And the cop, which is Rosendahl, just kind of tries to shy away from it. He acts like he didn't hear it. And he says something in counter, he brings up the alcohol again, just like he did in Banfield. He says, well, let me ask you something. How many drinks have you had tonight? I'm just like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I mean, come on. It doesn't have a better line than that. Jeez. But the thing is that the cops were there. That's why on that particular police report, it says officer requested case. Because it wasn't a 911 call. They were there. Or they drove there to do something. But it wasn't a 911 call. So those guys, I don't know if that was just who knows what that was. But anyway, I thought that was interesting what the guy was asking him. He asked him all sorts of weird, interesting things. Even about that girl with the white coat at the grub truck with, Hayden, which is one of the guys from the Identity Apartments, the one with the big knot on his head. The sweater guy, ugly sweater guy down it. Actually, the sweater he was wearing was a Dutch Brothers coffee sweater. It says it on the sleeve. And, oh my gosh, who was a barista? Oh my God, I just ran across this the other day. Who was that? Shoot. Oh my gosh, who was that? Oh, I know who it was. Holy crap. So, Colby Pugh, or whatever his name is, P-E-U-G-H, I believe. He's number 9 at the grub truck. He, on his LinkedIn, says he was a barista at Dutch Brothers Coffee. Well, that's where Kaylee worked. She was a barista at Dutch Brothers Coffee. So, how does Dutch Brothers tie into this? And right behind Dutch Brothers is Hunga Dunga Brewery, which is where they went after the Betty's Ball. And it said that, I don't know this for sure, I don't know this at all, but it said that Ethan worked at the Hunga Dunga, even though he's underage, he could be a server there, like during the day. But, and that's how I guess he got in for this event. I'm not sure. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, that's what I heard. But, okay. So you've got, now try right now just to forget what's going to be happening later on in the day right here. Where that's going to be, where, the murders happen. So just think about that as like a normal police report, right? So you've got, at 1 a.m. Now you think about, well, maybe not think about that. Because okay, so let's think about 1 a.m. 1 a.m. We're watching the grub truck at that point, right? We're seeing that. We're listening to Linda Lane, things that are happening in Linda Lane. And we have a weapons offense complaint. 2300 block of South Main Street. Which is right down there in the midst of all that. Hunga Dunga, Dutch Brothers. So this was reported at 1:08. Someone blaring loud music and shooting off a shotgun. Officer responded, no report. Well, for Christ's sakes, wouldn't you think if there was loud music, there's probably alcohol involved, possibly drugs. And if they've got a shotgun along with the alcohol and the drugs, that's not a good thing to be playing around with, Yeah, not really. Not in any scenario I ever came across. You just don't want to do it. So we got this happening at 1 o'clock. Here comes the rain again. Listen to my voice. This is so bad right now. Couldn't sing if I wanted to. Okay. So then, not too long after that, 1:43, you've got a controlled substance problem. West 7th Street and Elm. This is an officer requested a case. So this is something that, these are the things this particular day that are just wild. Because you've got how this officer knew about this being knowing about this controlled substance problem? I don't know. Did he get a tip? Was he tipped off about this? And who tipped him off? I mean, right about this time at 1:43, there was fights going on over at Linda Lane. There was the frat party going on. There was, you know, probably other parties going on too. I mean, you had the game, the aftermath of the game, the football game there. You had all sorts of stuff, I'm sure, going on. I mean, you had Parents' Weekend that was happening over in Pullman. And at this point in time, actually, it already had happened. I think that was at midnight, a little after midnight, when that girl over in Pullman ran those people down in that fire hydrant right in front of BK's apartment. Don't forget about that one. Right? So that's all going on, right? So that's a whole nother weird thing, too. I keep thinking that was a distraction. Like, could it be that girl that did that was being hazed, and they got her messed up out of her brains and told her to drive and do whatever? Because it's a known thing that they do with sorority girls, is they get them hammered. They haven't eaten, they haven't slept, sleep deprivation, and then they put them behind a wheel of a car, and they tell them to drift that vehicle. Now, drifting is pros. You need a pro to do that. I mean, drifting is not something you just learn, and you don't do it when you're drunk. You don't do it when you're on anything. You want to be very aware of what you're doing. So what if that was the case? What if that was a distraction? That whole apartment thing. And then she just did a damn fine job of it. Probably not because she wanted to. Because it really did hurt people. And it caused a lot of issues. So maybe let's put that on the back burner. Because that could very well be what happened there. Because, I mean, University of Idaho is not the only ones that haze. I mean, shoot, Wazoo shut down right now. There's no, they're like they're dry school now. There's no alcohol. No way. They're like, nope, none. They banned it. They've shut down fraternities. They're not going for it. Now, if U of I would stand up and do their job, that'd be pretty cool. It'd be actually really cool. Cat's eating right now. She eats so loud. It's so funny. So anyway, officer requested a case here with controlled substance problem. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about, I just keep popping my head right, fast forwarding to Banfield and the cops ushering people across the street and whatnot, and these crooked cops. I mean, there's no way in heck that those guys couldn't have been crooked by just what they were doing right there. I mean, doesn't make sense to me. They have to be. So then we've got an alcohol offense, right? This is Taylor Avenue, Banfield. This is when the boys were run after by the other cops, right? Well, the cops are sitting there in their car. And when they get out of the car and they turn their body cam on, it says 253. So you tell me. Are they like Kreskins or something? I mean, do they know? Can they foresee the future? I mean, look, this is at 3:01. The call hadn't even come in yet. Because this 3:01 call right here, wasn't for an alcohol offense. This is for screams someone heard on King Road. You could hear it while they were giving these guys tickets, you could hear the girl scream. You could hear her say, no, stop it. Don't stop it. Or stop it, don't. You could hear it. Yet those cops never once looked up. The boys did. They heard it. But the cops they never even looked up. They never acknowledged it at all. In fact, they didn't acknowledge any of the cars driving by, the trucks driving by. They acted like, nothing to see here. Well, what the hell? They're police officers. They're supposed to be patrolling out there, right? They're supposed to be on this alcohol, whatever it's called. What was it called? I can't remember. Anyway, something they do where they're out there running around, you know, giving tickets to minor consumption type stuff. Yet there's cars and trucks driving all around them, and they don't think anything of it. I mean, wouldn't you think after a game, a football game, after a Betty's ball, after the frat parties, Thanksgiving weekend, you know, coming up where they're going to be going up, you know, home. You've got Pullman having its family weekend. Wouldn't you think these officers would have thought that some of those people probably were pretty hammered when they were driving? Because that's what I would think in a college town, because that's what I read every day in these freaking police reports. Yet they didn't even bother to look up and acknowledge these vehicles. Seems pretty bizarre to me. And so this one right here also contradicts itself, because the 911 call came in at 3:01. Yet this is an officer requested a case report taken. What the F? Seriously, what the F? Nothing in this, what we're looking at right here, makes any sense at all. None. And they want us to believe this? Piss on them. So then after that, they hop on over to South Main Street, which is they gotta drive by the mobile gas station. Go figure, right? Yep. And off to the left of that is, you know, Hunga Dunga Brewery and, you know, Dutch Brother Coffee. Got McDonald's over there. You got Nom Nom Grocery Store. A little convenience store, I mean. You got the cop shop right there. So these guys head on over to the Identity Apartments. Because when they're done in Banfield, yes, I agree, honey. Their body cam, they turned their body cam off at 3:16. They turned it off at 3:16. And here, they say that they got time reported was at 3:38. Oh my God. That's not when their body cam started. They were already there when the guys walked up. I mean, they didn't see them walking with it. They walked up to the apartment. They had a sign with them. They saw it. The cops were there. Already doing something at that apartment place. Just like they were already sitting in front of the Taylor apartment buildings and the King Road. What, baby girl?